mahula, ke kanila, ke ho'olahi mai. Mai na aina malalo mai, eia mai la ka wa'akau ai ka ikai. O velo ke ki lepa lepa ula i ka maki, kuku ia mai la ina hopu o ka lani. Aia maka e na nei, makani o ka likai, kani a ka makani, e ono ai, mai ia i luna kua o ka. O vela kala, o luka ili. We shall return to order and continue receiving testimony on policy item 58. Before we return to the chamber, and the next person in the chamber would be an Astrid Centuria, Centuraia, excuse me. We do have a testifier. We do have a testifier in our HANA office, our first one. So we're going to take the HANA testifier first, since there's one, and then we'll return to the chamber's members. So Ms. Lono, if you would ask your HANA testifier to identify him or herself.
Our first testifier is Eileen Como.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time to the council. My name is Eileen Como, and I'm from HANA. I've got a few concerns here about the GMO that accidentally contaminates seeds that are blown by the wind, and it contaminates other farmers' seeds. I don't understand how the farmer could be sued for something that the wind does. And how do we protect the farmer that doesn't want GMO seeds? How do we protect that farmer? It seems to me like if the farmer who doesn't want this seed and his seeds get contaminated by GMO, it seems like they should maybe have the right to sue for contaminating their organic seeds. So I think we need to think about how do we protect that farmer that does not want the GMO seeds. I've also had questions about the EPA adequately monitoring and allowing the contamination of our waters, and it's killing the bees and the beetles and the butterflies. I just think that there's inadequacy in what the EPA is doing in its monitoring, and I think that should be really addressed. I also am concerned about the next generation. We don't know what is going to happen with the next generation, and as a grandmother, I'm very concerned about my grandkids, and I'm sure you guys have grandkids too. So we don't know health-wise what's going to happen to our next generation, and it's them that we are experimenting on. Do we really want to chance that? Do we really want to chance our kids eating food that we really aren't really sure that probably has pesticides in the seeds that are, I don't know, I just don't like chancing my grandkids on that. They're just too special, and really, really, really worried about that. Over the time, we see that it's just not a safe thing to do, and many people feel that the genetically modified engineering is an invalid way of the future. And
2.5 minutes.
We can't afford to ignore the technology of such enormous potential benefits of of the GMO. However, we must proceed with caution to avoid causing unintentional harm to human health, the environment as a result of this powerful technology. We need to really be careful with what we're doing here. If we could just slow down
3 minutes.
and really think about what we're doing. Let's see, those are kind of my points that I wanted to make. Thank you very much for your time, and let's just really think about what we're doing. Okay, thank you very much. Aloha.
Thank you for taking the time to testify. Any questions for the lady in the Hana, Ms. Kamoa, on her testimony, members? Having none, thank you very much for taking the time to testify this morning. Ms. Lono, anyone else in the Hana office? Ms. Lono.
There is no one else waiting at the Hana office to testify.
Thank you. Lanai, anyone else?
There is no one waiting to testify on Lanai.
Thank you. I will ask Ms. Astrid Centuria if she would share her thoughts with us, please.
Aloha. Thank you for listening to my testimony. I'm here today not only as a concerned Maui resident, but also as a mother and a healthcare practitioner in the community. Just shy of being 2 months old, my daughter, Persephone, who you've heard and maybe seen today, was diagnosed with brain cancer. This is a heart-wrenching ordeal that no parent should have to go through, and no baby this small should have to deal with. When Persephone was 3 months old, she had surgery to successfully remove a tumor that was lodged in her brain, and it was larger than a golf ball. We are extremely grateful for every day that we have with her. Shane and I are both very healthy people, and we spend a lot of time outside and in the water, enjoying all that Maui has to offer. One of our favorite spots is Hokipa, which is located very close in proximity to poisoned ag lands, and it's also very close to water runoff from these lands. This is evident in the reef that is dying, and the turtles that are there that also are suffering from tumors. The research is out. It doesn't take much. A low levels of exposure have been linked to an increase in birth defects and brain cancer. I know of 3 other babies that were born this last year with heart defects. That's on Maui. We are a small population. Secondly, as a licensed acupuncturist, I have seen an increase in the number of patients I treat for infertility issues, and this is continuing to rise. Seemingly healthy men and women who really should have no trouble conceiving are unable to start the families they wish to without enlisting costly supportive methods, which are not always successful either. This is also due to environmental toxins. If the farmers, workers, and corporate members feel so threatened by the possibility of disclosing what is really going on, then obviously there is something to be concerned about. If this bill does not pass, the quality of life on this island will continue to decline, and healthcare costs will surge as more and more cancers, disease, and defects start occurring. How can we deny our children and their children the chance at a healthy life here in beautiful Hawaii? In closing, I would like to say that I strongly support
2.5 minutes.
this bill. It is our right to know what is being sprayed, when and where, and to have allotted safe buffer zones. Mahalo.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the lady? Members? Thank you very much for being here this morning. Faith Eubank, Eubank. Faith Eubank. Okay, we'll go to the next individual. Ann Evans, Evans. Ann Evans. Ann Evans. Okay, thank you. Umani Groves.
Aloha, Chair and committee members. Mahalo to Ellie Cochran for doing this bill September 29th. I had a number of different pesticide exposures downwind from an ag company in South Kihei. And I bleeded actually for this bill, so I'm incredibly thankful. I learned a lot through the experience. First off, I am a practice management consultant to healthcare practitioners, and I'm on health and environment. I'm also an organic gardener. I have had a third of an acre property in South Kihei as a result of the pesticide exposures. It was scary enough, and $1,000 worth of treatment, that I was very clear I needed to sell my property. And it was a property I put a lot of love and attention into, and over 5 years. I did not know that I was downwind from a big ag company. It was not disclosed, and to me disclosure is very important. Right now I have 5 storage units. I'm on a furnished place already, and I need to know, disclosure-wise, that I'm not going to be near experimental pesticides. The kind of pesticides that I was subject to, I learned that at Kaiser there is very limited ability to be able to test on pesticides through them. And that was eye-opening. I discovered that they do not have toxicology lab on Maui. And that's really critical when you have the level of toxic exposure that I had. It's just, it doesn't take much from a very powerful single dose, to really do harm. I'm very lucky that I went to a naturopath who had the ability of a very specialized equipment to be able to tell what I needed to be treated with. It took about 3 weeks. But, my system was like this. So now I'm okay. But it brings up the issue of testing. And
2.5 minutes.
There are 26 points that I did write. There is an article in here on the challenges and the overview on pesticides and GMOs. And I'd really ask that you read the 6 pages. I know it's long, but I did discern a lot. May I go over the 1 minute? May I? Okay, thank you. I did go to the state level to testify on a pesticide bill, requesting notification. It was a bill, I think it was HB 673. I did request for notification. This was before I was even hit with pesticides since June. And I discovered that the very minimum amount in terms of being able to get public support for notification wasn't there. I mean, putting, an annual report on a Department of Ag website isn't enough to protect us. We need the notification. I need to know. I thank HCNS for notifying us on the cane burning. I could close up my windows, my doors, turn on the air purifier. But I can't do that when the pesticides come down on the dirt.
4 minutes.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Ms. Groves, for your comments this
Thank
morning.
you.
Members, any questions for the lady on her testimony she shared?
Sure.
Yes, Ms. Cochran.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Rose, for being here. You mentioned that you get notified for cane burning. And how do you get notified?
I signed up for alerts that's on their website. And I want you to know that there is, even though Monsanto has signed a voluntary disclosure, I looked at the website this morning. There is no notification alert up there. I think that's something that would be very useful.
Sorry to interrupt, but no, I wanted to go back to so you get just notified via HCNS.
Yes, and they're very good. I'm so grateful. They did it voluntarily, and I'm so grateful that they do it, because I am able to get out of harm's way And that's the point of doing disclosure, is to get out of harm's way and also have a method to be able to treat. You know, we don't have, we're very exposed. We don't know how exposed we are here. You know, for land use planning, you know,
Thank you.
before we put those subdivisions in,
Okay.
we need to know what experimentals are being done.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Any
Any
other-
other questions?
Any other questions for Our Lady? Having that, Ms. Groves, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Mahalo.
Courtney Brooke.
Good morning, Chair,
Good morning.
Council. I submitted this morning, I hope you got a copy. There's a list of about 124 businesses, schools, organizations, and farms that support the amended version of Ellie Cochran's bill. So please take a look at that. I know it's a very small print. I'll send you a larger print by email, but there are many, many organizations that support the amended version of this bill, as do I. Please also look at Gary Hoozer's testimony. Again, it's on YouTube. It's very important that we all learn from what he has gone through and experienced. So I encourage you to please watch that and listen to that several times. I have. I am deeply concerned about the health of our environment and our people. Pesticides are poison. Restricted use pesticides are poison. It is using our incredible intelligence and common sense to malama aina. We can do anything we set our minds to, anything we set our minds to with proper connection to the wisdom of the earth and working in community. We can co-create a fertile, organic, and native Hawaiian plant environment that is healing and nourishing to the present and future generations. Placating to industrial ag industries may put pesticide GMO-laden food in some mouths and money in some pockets in the moment, but it perpetuates poison. We need to turn our canoe in the right direction. We need good leadership. We need people to run for office that have fresh ideas, that are innovative and connected to loving this land instead of exploiting it. There are people like Oprah Winfrey, there are people that have money, I'm not asking them to come in and make decisions for us, but it's obvious that we need people all over the world that love this place, that don't want it to be poisoned. This is a very precious place, and so we have people that can come in, and not just people that have money, but people in our community are very intelligent, and to talk about how we can replace these jobs that people have that are poisoning our island. I realize that ties with HCNS, A&B, Monsanto, Maui Land and Pine run deep. Council members are public servants, not corporate servants. I have to continue to remind us of this. And I hope that more and more people come in our community to speak out, because I know that people are afraid. There are some people that on Molokai that I have been in contact with this week that are afraid to speak up because they have family members that work for Monsanto and Mycogen. I know people on this council that have ties with those organizations. Using thousands of gallons of restricted use pesticides on a small island is a serious problem. We have over 113,000 pounds of restricted use pesticides that were used last year. This is unacceptable. May I have another minute, please? All we are asking for is disclosure and buffer zones. If you read the Pesticide Action Network's testimony by Paul Towers, it was emailed to you. There are many places in the United States that have buffer zones. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking to ban pesticides. And I really think it's a responsibility of people like Warren Watanabe, who are executive director of the Farm Bureau, not to put out fear-mongering to farmers. This is not to put farmers out of business. These corporations use much higher levels of restricted use pesticides than small farmers. And it's true that we might need to increase the threshold, and I appreciate that Ellie Cochran is more than willing and has been talking to farmers and is willing to amend this bill. And I have called Ricky Hokama's office 3 times in the past week to ask why he did not schedule the amended version, which is improved from the Kauai version, and have received no answer. And I want an answer, and so does other people.
4 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the lady on her testimony provided? Okay, thank you very much for your testimony. The chair will make one comment. Prior to posting this, I did have a discussion with Ms. Cochran. She knew exactly how they were going to move forward on this item. She understood some of my concerns of multiple versions of a bill to receive testimony. This is all done prior to my posting, and so for me, it is something that I had cleared with the author of the original version, how we're going to proceed. If you have questions, you can ask Ms. Cochran whether this conversation occurred or not, but I can tell you it occurred in front of many other people who saw us have a discussion, and that's the way it is. The chairs have control over the agendas. They decide what goes on their agendas, and that is the rules of this council, period. The next testifier is Amy Chang, C-H-A-N-G. Dr. Joe Ritter.
Aloha, Honorable Chair Hokama, esteemed council members, and Committee on Policy and Intergovernmental Affairs, and good citizens of Maui. My name is Dr. Joe Ritter. I'm a physicist and interdisciplinary scientist, long-term Maui resident and taxpayer. Thank you all for the opportunity to discuss objective science related to the intent of the Most Honorable Ellie Cochran's bill, PIA 58. What are my qualifications to talk about this? I grew up on a farm. I learned to work on a farm. I'm in total support of local Maui County resident farmers and their rights. Although the council members may know me from my NASA work or as a PhD physicist and expert in radiative transfer and light pollution for the county, I actually began my scientific career in laboratories as a teenager in the field of teratology, which is the study of birth defects. Teratology is closely related to cancer research. They are both about cells which do not reproduce correctly. When I got a little older, I co-authored several peer-reviewed teratology publications. At the age of 19, was a keynote speaker at the 61st meeting of the Mid-Atlantic Reproduction and Teratology Society in Groton. Years ago, I had a faculty appointment in animal science at the College of Agriculture, Farming, and Natural Resource Management, the Ag College in Hilo. I flew a genetics payload, a genetics toxicology experiment on NASA Space Shuttle mission STS-91. I'm a far better physicist than biochemist or geneticist, but I have some small knowledge to share in this field that concerns us today, the field of toxicology. When I was younger, our group's peer-reviewed, published research performed at the Institute for Developmental Research at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital with the Medical School of the University of Cincinnati used Wistar rats as test models for human reproductive systems. We saw significantly increased damaging effect from administering multiple chemicals together to mothers. Those are mother rats. We often had results where giving a single safe chemical would cause no statistically, 0 to a few % malformed embryos. But if multiple safe chemicals were given together, we might see upwards of 80 to 90% malformed young. This was tremendously helpful in understanding proximate biochemical pathology pathways and absolutely disastrous for the test subjects exposed to these chemical cocktails. Decades of science clearly shows that chemicals administered together can have a multiplicatively bad effect on embryos and significantly increased negative health effects that tests using single components cannot reveal. This dangerous potentiative effect of chemical cocktail spraying is what concerns us. On Maui, we see widespread application of cocktail herbicides and pesticides with as many as 50 components. Corporate chills say, prove it is dangerous, yet claims of safety. Sir, may I please have 60 more seconds coming up? Thank you. The claims of safety are often based on research tests of a single ingredient, not the combination cocktail applied to crops and through runoff and drift applied to humans on Maui. Safety claims of cocktails based on tests of single components are not valid or convincing to those who understand the fundamental science. Short of the ideal, which would be a federal moratorium on these cocktails, until adequately studied, at minimum, I urge you to protect us on Maui. Why not protect our right to know what is sprayed and keep control of that on Maui? Do not relinquish these decisions to the state. The state constitution is clear in directing our public officials to preserve our health and natural resources. Please do not let unsubstantiated, fearful claims of job loss prevent county action. Please do not fear being open. Council, your health is at stake as well as mine and all of the residents of Maui. Thank you for your consideration of this view based on science and real concern for our
4
community.
minutes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ritter, on your testimony. Members, any questions on Dr. Ritter's testimony?
Sure.
Ms. Cochran?
Thank you, Dr. Ritter, for being here and bringing that perspective, you know, the actual scientific. And you mentioned lack of, I guess, tests or research on the cocktail mixture of chemicals. And you're in essence saying that is occurring here, and thereby there's
a lack of research. Thank you for the question. I appreciate being able to elaborate on this. When we did research in birth defects, and which is the flip side of cancer research, both cells that don't grow correctly, we would often see a safe chemical, called chemical A, administered and see virtually no effects. And same thing for chemical B. Yet when given together, we would see disastrous effects. The point is that when, if you have 50 different things in something, you have 50 factorial different combinations. If you have 4 things in something, you have 10 different possible combinations you could look at. Okay, so the real issue, and actually there are combinatorics and they grow more than exponentially. The point is, when tests are done, they're typically on a component. And so people will say, gee, this is safe, it's been tested, we've looked at this ingredient. The point is, the combinations are not safe. You can drink a beer, you can take a sleeping pill. You aren't supposed to take them together. This is what's called a potentiative effect. It's multiplicative. It's much more than just an additive effect. And this is the significant issue. This testing has not been done adequately at any level. And I have some expertise in this field. I have refereed publications in this field from when I became an astrophysicist. So I hope that answers your question. This is not adequately tested at all. I grew up on a farm. I am not against pesticides. I'm not against what we need to do for local agriculture. I am a fan of local farmers and human residents that are farmers. But I'm very scared about what is happening here, and I urge simply to have transparency. And I thank the council for considering these views based on science.
Thank you, Dr. Ritter. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other member has a question for Dr. Ritter? Having none, Dr. Ritter, thank you very much for your presence.
Thank you all very much.
We'll go back to Molokai. Ms. Alcon, your next Molokai testifier, please.
Our next testifier is William Casino.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Council members. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to talk. My name is William Casino. I work at Monsanto for 9 years, and I am thankful that I got employed in Monsanto. And I'm happy that Monsanto is here in Molokai. Working in Monsanto is a privilege for me because I have learned about safety environment and also safe employment. Ever since I got employed at Monsanto, I have gained a lot of experience and knowledge as a crew leader. I felt confidence of my job because we have rules and regulations to follow, not only for us employees, but for the sake of others of our environment. Monsanto is the biggest employment in Molokai, and we depend on our jobs so we can support our family and provide their needs. Molokai is an economic problem situation with such high unemployment. Of these bill passes, Monsanto, as well as local farm, will force to shut down. We will lose our job. We will affect all of us in the community and also businesses. These jobs means a lot to me and my family. I cannot afford to lose it. Please, Honorable Chairman, I humbly ask you not to pass this bill. Thank you very much for your kind consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? Having none, thank you for being there. Ms. Alcon, next Molokai testifier, please.
Our next testifier is Alex Mankaya Ayam.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Alex Mangayayam. I am here to testify under GMO Bills number 13-381. I worked 23 years at the farm, and I employed 15 years at Monsanto from now. I respect all ideas and opinions from any other organization or individual, but being a farm worker, I support farmers in agriculture industries. So, being a farmer's worker, I both know past these bills. Again, my name is Alex Mangayayam, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? Having none, thank you for being there. Ms. Alcon, your next Molokai.
Our next testifier is Melvin Spencer Jr.
Aloha Maui County Council members. My name is Mel Spencer Jr. I'm a Monsanto employee, been working for this company 10 years. I support agriculture business. Great opportunity for the next generation of our children's future. Please don't take farming away from us employees. I'm against the bill. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions, members?
Sir, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Cochran.
and I guess Mr. Spencer, mahalo for being there in Molokai. Can you hear me, Mr. Spencer? This is Ellie Cochran.
Ella, can Mr. Spencer hear? Ella?
Yes.
Is Mr. Spencer there? Ms. Cochran has a
he
question.
is.
Okay,
Hi,
thank
Mr.
you.
Hi, Mr. Spencer. It's Ellie Cochran. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you for being there. I just been hearing over and over. I just have a question for you. Is your company or employer saying that this bill will put you out of work? Is that kind of the gist of what you're
Ricky, please
being told?
say the question over.
As I understand it, Ms. Cochran's question is the employer
Mhm.
saying that the legislation would end their activities on Molokai Island? Would that be an accurate
Yeah, your
paraphrase?
job activity.
Yeah. Did the employer say that if this bill passes, they would have no jobs on Molokai? Is her question.
No, they're not telling me anything of that. I'll oppose the bill.
Okay.
Aloha.
Okay, Ms. Cochran.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Okay. Any other questions for the gentleman? Thank you, Mr. Spencer, for being there. Ms. Alcon, you're next, Molokai.
Our next testifier is Felipe Ragantan.
Hello, good morning, Chairman. I am Felipe Ragonton, working in Monsanto, Molokai. I really don't like this bill. I support agriculture and I love my job. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? Having none, thank you very much, Ms. Alcon. Last one for this round, Ms. Alcon.
Our next testifier is Jose Avila.
Hello, council members. My name is Jose Avila. I'm a field crew worker and assistant mechanic. I worked for Monsanto for 7 years. This is by far the safest job I've ever had. I work in the fields and on the machines that spray. I can say with confidence that we comply with EPA standards. Everything that we do is within protocol of state, county, and EPA. My name is Jose Avila, and I oppose this bill. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? Thank you very much for being there. We shall return to the chambers. Benny Ramos Jr. And following Mr. Ramos is Jerry Edlau.
Good morning. My name is Benny Ramos Jr. My Meikike birth title is Ali Nui Kapu Chief. To the de facto county of Maui and the de facto state of Hawaii. And to the foreign aliens of the kingdom of Hawaii. GMO, for me, and Monsanto is totally illegal in the kingdom of Hawaii. The bill that Eli Cochran is presenting, I'm for the bill, I'm for the people. I just came out because I watch Akaku a lot, and I see people getting burnt by this administration. Burnt being bad stewards, bad heads of the body that's supposed to be taking care of the people. I, as Ali Nui Kapu Chief, heir of Wailuku, heir of Maui Nui Okama, I'm a good steward to my land in Pihana. And I do use some parts of pest control to control areas where I cannot control, but I do not urge to use chemicals around any kind of crop or any kind of seed, because the threat of my kalo is being threatened by GMO, being threatened by Monsanto. I went back to my roots because I'm a what you call, I was de factoed by your county administrating Department of Human Services because I practiced to do the things that I'm supposed to do as an heir of the kingdom, as an heir of royal line, of many, many Ali Inuits. To my people on Molokai, where Molokai is supposed to be the most Hawaiian, I suggest you guys dig deeper into Hawaiian homes, dig deeper into Oha. There's no excuse for Hawaiian homes that they cannot help you guys with people with 40 acres that only has, not doing nothing with the land. Molokai should be a leader to all Hawaii. That's why I'm a leader here in Wailuku.
2.5 minutes.
Anyway, I have a notice for all of you council members that I wanted to hand out to you. And I also have a genealogical chart for my auntie, Stacy Crivello, and a map that could show you the lands of Wailuku, the lands that I pertain to. Waikoa, Baldwin Beach,
3 minutes.
Honokohau, to the Pali Point. This is Wailuku. This is me. You are seeing that is presenting myself as an heir to Wailuku, heir of Ova, heir of Maui Nui Okama. Yeah. I don't mess around with what I say. I don't think I'm messing around for what I do. I'm up against the biggest monkeys that you can think of development. Yeah, illegally, fictitiously, knowingly, willingly, committing war crimes to all of us people. Yeah. You guys need to hear the voices of the people and stand for the truth. Stand on Keakua, God, not the Kepalo. Thank you for me sharing, and I wanted to ask if I could share this with my auntie. Auntie Stacy, I have this for you.
Yes, staff will assist you, Mr. Ramos.
And this is a notice. To make copies there.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Ramos. Any questions for the gentleman on what he shared with you this morning? Having that, Mr. Ramos, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jerry Idlau.
Morning, Chair.
Good morning.
And committee members. My name is Jerry Edlau. I initially signed up testifying by my own behalf as a resident, but I'm also an owner of a pest control company and a concerned small businessman. I think there's two different things that we misunderstood. Number one, that all pesticides are bad, and some of them are bad, but the fact that this legislation is going to put everybody out of business, I don't think so. It's going to impact the small businesses. And that is a real concern. Our industry has kind of gotten away from pesticides, and right now the only restricted use pesticide we have is used for tent fumigation. Other than that, a lot of baits and very safe products. I don't want to get into the training part because, you know, it's been said, all certified guys, what they have to go through, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. But I'm concerned, mainly, I think the intent of this legislation is good. My concern is the buffer zones. That's going to create a whole bunch of unnecessary things as far as notification. If I was to fumigate a house across the street, I would have to let everybody here in this county building know what's going on. I mean, that's going to be hard on a small business. As far as notification, I mean, we as an industry, what we have developed is a sensitivity list. And if we come across a client that is sensitive to chemicals and wants to be notified if any work is going to be done in their neighborhood, we put them on the list. This is statewide. I personally have put 3 people on this list of Maui. And I think Maui we have probably about 6 people. But we are concerned. It's not that, you know, we go out and just spray and not care. I think even Monsanto, I mean, they have some degree of awareness as to what they do. But I do strongly believe in the disclosure. I think everybody has the right to know. And, you know, being a pest control operator, I notify people on my list if I'm going to be in the area. And if we go do a job and there's people or kids playing in the yard, you know, my technicians will go next door and says, hey, we're going to be doing this, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And if it's a problem, then, you know, we can reschedule or whatever the case may be. But I think the intent, Ms. Cochran, is good. I believe in disclosure and the right to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Idlau. Any questions for the gentleman on his testimony, Ms. Cochran?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Idlau, for being here. So, as pest control, so my question to you is the amount of usage that your company, because you said you're a small company,
right?
You use pesticides.
Yes.
So you read the bill and you saw the amount that triggers, you know, the whole thing.
Yes.
So you fall into that category.
No, because I don't use restricted use chemicals.
Oh, okay.
The only restricted use chemical in our industry now, Ms. Cochran, is chlorpicrin and Vicane gas for fluoride, which is used for tent fumigation on residents. And my company, we do not do tent fumigation. And when we do pest control work, on the interiors, I use a lot of baits and gels. And on the exteriors, as much as possible, granules. I try not to use, my whole philosophy is, if I don't have to use chemicals, I won't. I mean, to me, you know, my company, my technicians, we've been certified, trained in integrated pest management. Basically, what it means is, you know, we look at the situation. If we can do modifications to the structures, cracks, crevices, clogging them up, and things like that, then fine. If we have to use chemicals, I will use baits first, and then pesticide, you know, liquid or whatever, aerosols and things like that. But we try to be very, very safe.
Thank you, Mr. Idlau. And one follow-up, Chair. Thank you. And so I thank you for, you know, and there's never been a question in regards to people being properly trained in the usage of any type of pesticide. But you mentioned that you will notify people who want to be notified. So how does a person, I mean, if you don't know that you're going to be sprayed ahead or whatever, affected, then how do you let yourself know that they want to be notified?
If I get a call from a client and, you know, they say, well, you know, I really am sensitive to chemicals and, you know, but I have a problem. What are you going to do? Then, you know, I'll discuss the options. And then, you know, if we move forward, and then I'll ask her, you know, if she would like to be put on. Because, you know, I may not be there the next time. She may call another company. And the other company may just come out there and just start spraying all over the place. But if you know, she's on our list, she has to be on our list, then we'll put her on our list. And this is distributed to all pest control operators in the association in the state of Hawaii. And this is something our association did by ourselves. If there are people, right now, if there's anybody that wants to be on this list on Maui County, give me a call. Talk to me. I'll put you on the list. That's not a problem. All I need is a name, address, and phone number. And this will be distributed to all our members. And every year we have this out and we post it right up in our office. And whenever we do pest control, we kind of look at this list, same address, then, we know we need to notify that person that we're going to be in the area. Maybe not necessarily at her house or their house, but in close proximity.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edlau. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions for Mr. Edlau? Having none, thank you very much for your thoughts.
And Kuni Fachoy.
Kuni Fachoy. Stephen West, please, next. Stephen West. Okay, we'll move to Olaf, B-E-H-E-N-D-T. Okay, it's your turn.
Aloha. I have a technical question. Did you get to read a little bit in this handouts from Tuesday? Because my testimony would be based on some information.
Now is your time to share your testimony.
Well, thank you. Well, the technical question was, it's about education, and we got a little paradox of education. People from Molokai, which I have a lot of compassion, say that we who are proponents of this bill are not educated because we actually are called activists, and that they are educated. But there's a big, like I said, paradox of education, because it's facts versus promotion. And people from Molokai, they all state that they are so happy and well educated and trained by Monsanto, but it's also well documented that what Monsanto is spraying, the massive amounts of chemicals and toxins are actually unsafe, and we also have documented and tons of research and studies like this one that chemicals are harmful, especially for children. Sorry. So we have a basic right to know what is sprayed, because it is about our health. I grew up in a city, but I spent half of my time as a kid on a farm too, and I remember that was in 1971 when the guys from the chemical companies came to the farm and distributed those chemicals, and the farmers were readily open to increase their crops and all that. But that was in Switzerland. Now 40 years later, we are facing a goal of, in 2018, Switzerland will be completely off all chemical fertilizers and chemicals and pesticides, and by 2020 the goal is to be all organic. So they are uamau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono, because they took the lesson, they saw what's happening. The land is devastated, and I've been to Molokai. Molokai is devastated already. I've been there 20 years ago when I came to this island, and it was still beautiful. Now it's all really sad looking, and this is because of this monocropping and pesticides and all that. The runoffs I'm a surfer, the runoffs in the water, Hokipa, is terrible. Even the runoffs on the street, where the county and the state go with the truck and round up the road sideways, is devastating. You can see rainbow colors running down into the ocean. The reefs are covered with a layer of unknown substances. It smells. I go to surfing after the rain. May I have another minute, please? You can smell the chemical runoffs from these companies. So there's way more to say, but what we're really dealing here with is transparency and education. You have to educate yourself, and you have to read these studies, because it's a proven fact that pesticides are harming the people, and especially children. And we are learning it now because 20 years of using it, these are all leftovers from the war. Free chemicals that they told the farmer to throw on the fields. They brought chemical warfare into agriculture. And now it's controlled and institutionalized by these corporations. There's also a letter from the guy who practically is the godfather of glyphosates. They told the EPA and the US Department, the secretary, that they have to stop Roundup because they found pathogens that they don't even know what they are.
4 minutes.
So the hell is loose. It's out there. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Chair.
We have a question for you on.
Olaf.
If you can return,
have a
Ms.
question.
Cochran has a question for you.
Thank you for being here. And so I just want you to go back on your point in regards to Switzerland.
Yeah.
And so they have or been in the process of banning pesticides and whatnot, and thereby by 2020 they would like to be completely organic. Is that what's
Yes,
happening?
that's their goal. And ban pesticides. Most of the pesticides that we are debating here are banned in most European countries, Japan, Mexico, including GMO. So we are using stuff that is banned 20 years ago. And all these cocktails that we are using here, that's the problem. We heard it from a very well-educated professor. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Carvalho,
How do you spell your last name? What is
BEHRENDT.
Thank you. One question. I didn't quite understand where you were going with as you were trying to say about the Molokai population and education.
Well, there was on Tuesday there was some accusations of that activists are not educated, but the people from Monsanto, which are only Monsanto people, talking on the clock to testify, paid by Monsanto, that we are not educated.
So
that's
do
what I
you know for
refer.
a fact if they're getting paid by Monsanto?
Well, they're saying they are employed and they are on the clock. I mean, they don't take a day off to
Oh.
testify.
That's your assumption.
That's my assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm famous
Just
for
need to
assumption.
clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, any other question for the gentleman on testimony he provided? Maybe none. Mr. Berhat, thank you very much for your time. HANA office, is there anyone wishing to provide testimony?
The HANA office has no one waiting to testify, Chair.
Thank you. Lanai, Ms. Fernandez, anyone wishing to provide testimony?
There is no one waiting to testify on Lanai.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Alcon, your next Molokai person, please.
Our next testifier is Christopher Ka'awai.
Hi, good morning, Council Chair Okama and Board. My name is Christopher Ka'awai. I'm here to oppose this bill because this is my this is the only job that pays my bills and feeds my family. Unless you can find me a better job that pays the same or better than what I make now, I'll be more than happy to stand by your side and listen to your lies and disbeliefs. And that's all I have to say. Hello.
Aloha, thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? Having none, thank you for being there. Ms. Alcon, next person, please.
Our next testifier is Jolenta Luciao.
Honorable Committee Chair Hokama, Vice Chair Couch, and respected council members. My name is Jolenta Dubichel. I am 21 years old, born on Oahu and raised on Molokai. I am currently employed at Monsanto Molokai as a seasonal field crew worker, and I am a strong supporter of pesticides. First of all, I would like to state that we are not getting paid to be here today. We are on the clock, but we all have a choice to come over here and speak or stay at work or just come and support. I think all the rumors about GMO and cancer is
They will
100%
remain order in this
First
meeting.
of all, I work in the field that is sprayed with all kinds of chemicals every single day. It is dangerous, however. The company trains their workers to make sure no one is contaminated. We put up REI signs to show everyone that they cannot go into a field for a certain amount of time. These signs are posted on all four corners of each field. Pesticides are a big part of the agricultural industry. Without them, all crops would fail. It protects our food we grow from insects, bugs, and all kinds of diseases. So I believe it doesn't matter how much pesticides we use, but how we use it is important. Besides pesticides, I would like to address the issue of regulations and restrictions. I read a little bit of the bill and I don't understand it. Monsanto is already sending in reports and complying with all rules and regulations. Why should we have to send this information to someone else? We already do it. Why 500 feet of a boundary is set? Is there evidence supporting that 500 feet is necessary? If this bill gets passed, we could lose a lot of land and a lot of jobs. Monsanto takes care of their employees and their families and the community. This is not fair to the next generations like myself. I am young, smart, and hard worker, and we all have families to provide for. Didn't anyone stop to care and even think of how this bill would affect farmers? A lot of us could be unemployed and broke. And I know if I didn't feel safe working for Monsanto, I would not be here. Please do not pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the lady? Having none, thank you very much for your testimony. Next person, please, Ms. Alcon.
The next testifier is Eric Lacar.
Thank you, Maui Council members, for allowing me to voice my opinion on this proposed bill. I am here on my behalf and my choice, a taxpayer, a resident of Molokai. I believe Monsanto is doing all that they possibly can do to keep employees safe from any pesticides or any hazardous material. This safety is not directly only for the employees, but more importantly for the community of Molokai. Monsanto Molokai opens its doors and invites anyone who has any questions and concerns in regards to what Monsanto is doing. I knew that this is an invitation to those who has an open mind, not for those who are unbiased and whose intentions are to criticize. I feel safe at work, and I firmly believe Monsanto has the same care for not only the employees, but also those who make up the community of Molokai. With over roughly 7,000 people who occupy the island of Molokai, 11% stimulates our economy workforce. That is in regards to agriculture. If this bill is passed, it could jeopardize over 700 farmers. This would create a major loss of economic stimulation for the island of Molokai. I hope this will not happen. It will not only hurt my family of 5, but at an average ratio of 1 farmer, their partner with 1 to 8 children, uncles, aunties, grandmas, and grandpas. This bill will hurt over 3,800 family members of our agriculture community, which makes up more than 50% of the people of Molokai. In conclusion, I oppose this bill. Thank you for your time. My name is Eric Lacar, representative of Monsanto who oppose this bill. Mahalo, peace, love, and unity to all. Aloha.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman, members? Having none, thank you very much. Ms. Alcon, next person, please.
Our next testifier is Aristotle O'Mill.
Good morning, members of Maui County Council. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Aristotle O'Mill. I'm a resident of Molokai and been working for Monsanto Molokai since 2006. With this job, I'm able to support my family of 5. I'm grateful that Monsanto has employed me and I'm able to work. Today, I would like to testify that I oppose the bill. As I understand, Monsanto is following federal and state laws as regulated. My question is, why they give all the weight or the blame to our company? Because not only our company using chemicals, how about those chemicals we buy from the store, like the Raid, aerosol, sprays, Sebin, 5% dust? Who using these? Everybody. One more thing, about sewage. what they were putting inside before it goes directly into the ocean? And how about the chlorine in our drinking waters? They to follow the rules of federal and state laws. They complain about GMO, but they don't complain about the drugs. Again, please oppose this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the testifying members? Thank you very much. One more person, please, Ms. Alcon.
Our next testifier is Andrew R.C.
Hello, County Council members. I thank you for this opportunity to be able to come before you to voice my concern. My name is Andrew Kaleola R.C., a resident of Molokai for 52 years. I've been involved in agriculture for more than 30 years. Involved in the seed industry for more than 15 years and an owner and operator of RC's Farm since 2007, a farm that my father started in the early 1960s. I currently farm part-time on my Hawaiian Homes lands lease in Ho'olehua. Crops in production on my farm currently are asparagus, broccoli, one-buck cabbage, grape tomatoes, Chinese peas, and Molokai's best sweet corn. My family farm was voted Family Farm of the Year in 2012 by the Hawaii Farm Bureau Federation. I stand before you today to oppose the proposed GMO pesticide bill. One of the reasons my farm is successful is being able to control pests that populate my crops. I use all types of products, organic, biological, general use, and restricted use products when needed. By passing this bill, it would make it difficult for me to operate my farm with the required buffer zones. I would need to open up new farmland. This would cost me thousands of dollars for land clearing, irrigation lines, new windbreaks, soil conditioning, etc. I also need to pay for the acreage fee towards the MIS irrigation system for land that I cannot use due to the buffer zone requirements. I also lose out on thousands of dollars that I already invested on infrastructure on my current farm. Pesticide regulations should remain with the federal and state agencies. For those of you that don't farm, it takes about 7 years till you start making a profit. I'm just starting my 7th year this year. So if this proposal passes, it will send me and other small farmers, family farms, throughout Molokai and Maui County back to year 1 or out of business. Another reason why my farm is successful is because of the technology that farming has taken. New varieties of vegetables and fruits that were bred to be more nutritious, grow faster, resist disease and insects better than their ancestors of the past. New technology in ways that we irrigate, fertilize crops, new and safer chemistries that we use out in our fields.
2.5 minutes.
Computer software that helps us do better planning and record keeping. I know that GMO is a technology that works. I have seen this firsthand. We need to continue to improve our crops for the future. As a farmer, I support all types of farming, whether it's organic, conventional, genetically modified. Again, I ask you humbly to oppose this bill. Aloha.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions for the gentleman? I'll go with Ms. Corvello first, followed by Ms. Cochran.
Aloha, Andrew. This is Councilmember Crivello. I thank you for your farming, the RC farms, and understand you also work for Microgen, and
that's true. I'm the farm manager for Microgen Seeds here in Molokai.
So, do you feel that you're receiving the education as far as you being a farmer and a worker with agribusiness? Do you find that the use of pesticides is balanced for you on the personal side as well as the agribusiness that you are employed?
Yes, as far as on my farm and even at Microgen Seed, it's all about a balance. So we rely heavily on our field scouts that go out and take the data out in the field as far as what type of pests we have, whether it's insect disease or weed pressure, and we make our judgment calls on what we will apply
according to what we find out in the field. It's not that like we just go out and spray everything. If we have issues in certain areas, we look at our game plan and see what type of products that might fit the menu for that day. We normally come in with something that's not restricted. There's a lot of chemistries now that are safe, that have short REI times, as little as 4 hours. So we try and use the products that are lesser of the compounds that we use. In the last resort, we use restricted use pesticides. For corn, a lot of problems with insects, and it's all about this maize chlorotic mosaic virus that we have, and it's prevalent throughout the state in all of our industries, and even at my own farm. If you're not able to control leaf hoppers or corn thrips, the virus usually sets in, and you can totally lose your whole crop. So even on my own farm, that's the basic physiology that I use.
I have one more comment or question. So Andrew, so I am fully knowledgeable that your home farm involves your children, your grandchildren, your wife, and all of your ohana. So am I to believe that you feel that whatever restricted pesticides or whatever application you would use, you feel confident that your family is in harms or no harms?
I feel very confident in what I do. I have 7 mopuna that help me in various projects on my farm. They help me all the way from transplanting seedlings to hohana out in the field, all the way to harvest. And it is a family effort. All of my children moved back to Molokai as of last year, so it's a family activity. So we are out there all the time when we can, and and that's what I learned from my dad. My dad taught us how to farm, and it was a family effort. Without our family, we would not be able to be as successful as we are now. And hopefully one day I can pass this on to my children, and hopefully the cycle continues.
Mahalo, Andrew, for all that.
Mahalo, Andy, council members.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Corbello. Mr. R.C., Ms. Cochran has a question for you. Ms. Cochran?
Hi, Mr. R.C. It's Ellie Cochran. Can you hear me?
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for being there. And so, I was trying to distinguish your testimony in regards to your personal farming, versus, I guess, you're with Microgen also?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
But I'm here to voice my opinion and in support of my family farm.
Okay. So in regards to your family farm, then I believe one of your concerns is the buffer zone. And I would like to know what you feel would be a good amendment to this current legislation where it wouldn't harm your, your family farming in regards to the buffer zone.
Actually, I don't have any recommendations right now. I know that that buffer zone would affect me, because the area that I'm farming right now is within the buffer zone requirement. I'm not sure what amendments might be made. I feel that there shouldn't be any buffer zones required. But like I said, if that comes into effect, all the land that I have and all the money and infrastructure that I already invested in is kind of down the drain. So and I need, if I want to continue to farm, I would have to move into more area where it's not developed, and that would cost me thousands of dollars. I kind of exhausted my USDA loans with the government, and in order for me to get another loan, I'm not sure what that would take, but that would really put me in a bind.
Thank you. I'd like to discuss more in regards to that with you. As I've mentioned to others, it's a working document. So thanks for sharing that. But a follow-up, Chair. So my next question is in regards to restricted use pesticides. I believe you mentioned that your last resort is to utilize those. So do you personally fall into the category that this the gallonage and tonnage that it's mentioning in the bill?
No, I don't. I don't fall into that criteria. But I'm just afraid that if this goes through, who knows what might happen later down the road as far as requirements for small quantity users like me.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I hope to avoid that. Thank you for being there.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Any other questions for Mr. RC? Having none, thank you very much for being on Molokai this morning. Members, it's the chair's intent to take a 1 hour break at this time. So we can get back. I would like to try and reconvene at 1. We have quorum till 2:30. So at which time, if we're not concluded, we shall recess and try and get another date where quorum is not an issue so that we can continue and try and finish this phase of the process. So the chair will keep you informed, and I will just say that this committee will not be starting discussion of any revision, any other proposal until we complete testimony. So as long as there's testimony, the committee will not start its committee work as we go through experience of all the other committees. So we'll try and do the best we can, members, and once we finish testimony is when we'll get to working on legislation. Okay, we'll stand in recess till 1 p.m.